I am projecting what I see as the acceptable response, how I see what is a crisis situation and how to handle it. Our office had to go into lockdown for a period of time because of fear of what may happen from this situation. But I was calm about it. I said, okay, we're just locking the door for security. Nothing's going to happen. I honestly don't think, and nothing did. Had I approached that in a totally different situation of fluster, of panic, of, oh my gosh, my life's been threatened, et cetera, that just creates chaos. And no one likes to enjoy that coming to work, right? No one comes to work to enter a space of chaos. They look for the safe spaces. So that's a real life example of what's happening now and how I've dealt with a crisis. But in terms of my career and my life of what things that have happened, I lost a brother at a very young age, and that sort of nothing like a family loss or a loss of a partner, loss of a friend or someone close can really bring it really back to you. Like that loss is just so profound that I was talking to someone the other day, I don't think it changes you, I think it refines you.
Welcome back to the podcast. And this episode is all about something that every single person in property management and real estate will face at some point. And that's how to stay calm in a crisis. Because let's be honest, this industry can be unpredictable. Things go wrong. Emotions run high. Clients are stressed. And in those moments, the way that you respond can either escalate the situation or completely change the outcome. So I'm really excited for today's conversation because I'm joined by someone who is known for doing exactly that, staying calm, composed, and in control, even in the high pressure situations. Amy is an incredibly experienced real estate professional with more than 20 years in the industry, having worked across a variety of roles from smaller offices right through to fast-paced corporate environments. She's built a reputation for her professionalism, her attention to detail, and most importantly, her ability to prioritise what matters and lead with clarity when things get tough. In this episode, we're talking about what it really takes to stay calm under pressure, how to manage challenging situations without becoming overwhelmed, and the practical strategies that you can use to handle whatever comes your way. Because in this industry, it's not if something goes wrong, it's when. And learning how to navigate those moments calmly is what sets great property managers apart. So let's dive on in. Amy, welcome to the Property Management Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. I am the general manager of McGrath in Blackburn. So I oversee the property management division and also to more the sales compliance side of things. I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, let's say. And I've worked in all facets of real estate, being admin, reception, property management, sales. So I've done a little bit of everything, which I think gives me a great rounded knowledge of what expectations are from staff to clients, et cetera, et cetera.
That's fantastic. And you're known or renowned for being very calm in a crisis situation. And we just discussed that before, and you said that wasn't always the way for you. So, talk to me a little bit about that transformation, maybe what led to you changing the way that you have handled crisis. Because let's be honest, in real estate and especially property management, and especially in Victoria, where you are based, there is lots of crisis, lots of change, lots of things happening that are beyond your control.
Definitely. And I think that's probably part of the answer is that property management, especially or real estate in Victoria, has changed so much over, let's say, the last 5-10 years. You don't really have a choice. If you want to get bogged down in the crisis, if you want to flounder, if you want to, I don't want to say suffer, but if you want to stay in that mode, go for it. Otherwise, if you want to excel, if you want to achieve things, if you want career happiness and satisfaction, you have to learn to deal with those crises. That said, I've also had some personal hardships through my time, as a lot of people have. And I think it's an element of not having a choice, really. At the end of the day, You have the choice to continue. You have the choice to pull your socks up, get dressed in the morning, slap on a face and be present. And I've learnt how to disconnect at the end of the day. Not all the time. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, but I can recognize when I'm not disconnecting. And as long as I'm aware of it and as long as I'm conscious of it, I'm okay with it. It's when I'm not aware and I don't have that self-awareness that it's impacting me, that's when I feel like, okay, I'm not doing well.
Absolutely. So you would say that it really does. Dealing with crisis comes down to self-awareness and not being so reactive. Do you think that's a trained skill or people are born with it? Because I know for me, I was not born with it and I work on it very hard. It's not something that came naturally to me. And I think the same as you, I've had some personal issues that have really made me go, this has happened for me to teach me these lessons.
Definitely. No, if you ask my parents, I was definitely not a calm child. I was very reactive, very stompy, very slam doors, that sort of thing.
I
So
love it.
yes. And
That's so good.
they still remind me of that every time, and my brother did as well. So no, I was definitely not born with it. It's something that I've had to work on for my own sanity, my own health, my own wellness, also to the people around me. I don't think anyone likes the stompy staff member. They have an ability to impact culture in a way that is not beneficial. That said, again, you don't have to be perfect all the time, but as long as you've got that self-awareness that you have the potential to be the stompy person, then that's good. But it's something I've had to work on. It's certainly something that being aware and having that self-awareness that I have the potential to do it has learnt me. We were talking just before that I worked with a friend many years ago and we came together again a couple of years ago and she said, "Who are you? I'm not getting that reaction that I come to expect from you. You're so much more calmer." And I said, "No, I sit with things now. Before I used to hear news or receive an email and that split second reaction. Whereas now sometimes I'll have an outburst, but then I sit with it and I take it in, I assess the situation and I go, does this necessitate a bold reaction? Does it involve a crisis reaction? That sort of thing. And for me, I feel so much calmer and so much more in control, not having that initial reaction and being able to sit with my feelings a lot more. I think we've lived with too much regret where we've fired off an email or said something to someone that we can't take back. And I guess it's come from experience as well, making those mistakes where I've reacted to things that had I sat with it that little bit longer, I would have had a much more articulate response, which may have avoided confrontation or conflict or something like that. So I don't think there are people who are naturally calmer in a crisis, but there are also people who develop those skills. So I guess the answer to your question is both.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what are some of I guess, the situations that you experienced, and if you're open to sharing some of them, what are some of the situations that have got you to that point where you've gone, oh goodness, I need to change the way that I'm handling this situation? Because I imagine you lead a large team as well, and how you lead and react usually filters down through your team in businesses. Yeah. So maybe if you could share just a little bit about what that journey looked like, and if there was some particular turning point that you went, yeah, I need to look at this really seriously, because I can think of a few myself.
Definitely. And as a leader, people look to you. Like it can be a group situation, right? So for example, we've had a very ugly eviction in the last few months. And that was looked after by one of my team members. And at one point I intervened before the eviction was being carried out. I could see that the situation was escalating and I took that away from that staff member because I said, "You're not being exposed to that." And I realized that in that moment, they were all looking to me as to how I responded to that and how I was going to take that out. Now, I'm not saying that I have responded to that perfectly, not by any stretch of the imagination, but to my team, I've appeared calm. But I've also been vulnerable and said when I'm not okay, because it's been quite personal, the attacks, the things that have come out from it. It's quite awful.
I'm
But,
so sorry. Yeah.
oh, thank you. But look, we'll get there in the end. But as a
Yeah.
leader, I am projecting what I see as the acceptable response, how I see what is a crisis situation and how to handle it. Our office had to go into lockdown for a period of time because of fear of what may happen from this situation. But I was calm about it. I said, okay, we're just locking the door for security. Nothing's going to happen. I honestly don't think, and nothing did. Had I approached that in a totally different situation of fluster, of panic, of, oh my gosh, my life's been threatened, et cetera, that just creates chaos. And no one likes to enjoy that coming to work, right? No one comes to work to enter a space of chaos. They look for the safe spaces. So that's a real life example of what's happening now and how I've dealt with a crisis. But in terms of my career and my life of what things that have happened, I lost a brother at a very young age, and that sort of nothing like a family loss or a loss of a partner, loss of a friend or someone close can really bring it really back to you. Like that loss is just so profound that I was talking to someone the other day. I don't think it changes you. I think it refines you. I think you become a more refined version of yourself and what your limits and what your boundaries are. So there's been that.
And you also want to live your life. Like it makes you question life. I've lost my mum just in the last couple of years, and it's made me question my purpose and why I'm here and what am I making the most of? Like, why am I getting so stressed out about that situation? Not saying discounting, like getting your life threatened. That is, and I have had that situation before from a tenant as well. And you do, again, that does put fear in you because let's be honest, there are some unstable people out there and the world is not getting any better for that right now. So I'm not discounting your genuine
No.
fear around that, but when you do experience like a lot loss, it does make you go, is that really important? Do I need to be worrying about that? My time could be up tomorrow. Like, how do I want to
100%.
close my eyes tonight? What has happened today that I'm going to close my eyes tonight? And this touches back on what you said earlier as well about how you handle yourself in situations and that emotional side of things. Because I think you feel so much shame when you handle things badly, as opposed to feeling proud of yourself when you go, you know what, I actually handled that. Good on you. You handled that so well. We don't ever say that to ourselves, but we should.
So you don't lie awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, think of all the things you've done. You think about all the things that you've done wrong or that you haven't done yet. So if you can minimize those, you're going to have a much happier life. One of my favorite questions at the moment is, and for what? So if something happens and you want it, if you're thinking about making a sacrifice or making a really important decision, you have to ask yourself why is it important? Why are you considering it? What does that end result look like? And for what is a really profound question for me at the moment.
Yep.
And it's back around that sense of purpose and what are we doing it all for? Why do you go to work? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you find peace in gardening? Whatever it is. I recently turned 40 and growing a veggie patch is one of the most fulfilling things that I've done in such a long time. It doesn't grow enough to sustain my family, but just the pride that I have of picking a strawberry or picking a tomato that I grew, it's just something that's changed my mindset.
Absolutely. I love that. And I get that as well. I haven't had a veggie patch for a long time, but I went through a phase with my kids when they were younger. We built out veggie patches and then a couple of months later my property got flooded. But anyway, it is good to have that place and that space for reflection as well, I think. It's almost meditation when you're in the garden and yeah. Do you find that?
Definitely. It's busy hands. You don't have the time to think, or I just listen to a podcast or something, or sometimes I live in a really quiet area. So sometimes I just enjoy the peace that there is no noise. There is nothing else going on. It's just me and the weeds.
And the veggies, of course, not just weeds.
Essentially,
Yeah, yeah. So, how does your calmness and your ability to sustain like that level-headedness? How does that affect the teams that you work with in the office?
have so for me, it's all about not creating drama. Like a simple thing like a lost set of keys in an office can cause such a drama. And I just think, stop. why are we making this dramatic? We don't need drama. We need a solution right now. And that's how I deal with any kind of, what's a definition of a crisis? It can be minimal, it can be major, right? But it's the same thing. What can we do to fix it right now? We can worry about the why and the what afterwards, but what can we do in this moment to make it better for the team, for the client, or just for the situation? Find an easy win in the situation. And I feel like everyone has that urgency lifted, and everyone breathes a little bit more when they can see that there's a solution in place, that there's a resolution coming. So for me, it's okay, identify a quick win, bring the urgency down, and then we can go into solutions.
Absolutely. So what would you say to somebody, and we all know these people that do love and thrive and their whole identity is built on the drama, and I will put my hand up, that was definitely me. I was always the most stressed out person in any room. What would you say to them, or advice would you give them to do some self-reflection and maybe prioritize what is really a crisis and what is just being a little bit dramatic?
I think it's about being not afraid to call it out in a respectful way, pulling someone aside, going, okay, can we have a talk about this situation? Because what resulted in something that could involve two people ended up involving six people. If we look at the resources that were expended in order to resolve this, did we really need to go that far? Because you taking those four additional resources has taken it away from something else that could have been handled. It's been taken away from proactive things and moved into reactive things, which is only going to make things harder for you in the future. So it's about their self-awareness of what energy and efforts have had to go into their drama. And when I deal with renter complaints or even rental provider complaints, I understand it's urgent to you, but it's not necessarily an urgent situation. So it's identifying that it's urgent, it's important to them. Don't take that away from them. Allow them to have that, but remind them in the grander scale of things, it's not necessarily urgent or an emergency.
Do you still feel exhausted some days when you're dealing with, because I'm just thinking in my head, you're dealing with your team stuff, you're dealing with the renter provider stuff, the tenants stuff. What do you call the rental, the rental,
Renters and rental
the renters,
providers.
renters and the rental providers? Then you've probably got the owners of the business and stuff like that as well. So yeah, what do you do to make sure that all of that emotional stuff doesn't stay on you when you walk out that office door?
I don't plan Mondays. I let Mondays happen. And that's something that I've learned to do over the last couple of years. I'll tentatively book a couple of appointments, but I won't necessarily plan for Monday because generally speaking, and this doesn't work for everybody. This is not a fail-safe method, but I found that it works for me. If I allow for one day of the week to not be planned, it allows me to have reactive moments and to prioritize things that have cropped up from the weekend, whether it be illness, whether it be, I don't know, storm that's happened over the weekend. Because there's been those 2 days out of office, that's when things build, right? Because no one has touched it for 2 days. So for me, I just don't plan Mondays. I allow Mondays to happen. And
Fantastic.
as for coming home, I purposely live a distance from work so that I have the time to drive home, decompress. Sometimes I'll drive in silence. Sometimes I'll turn on music and just sing my heart out. Sometimes I'll listen to podcasts that just mindless nothingness. Depends on the mood that I'm in and what energy I've got and what energy I need when I'm going home. If I'm going out for dinner and it's going to be more social interaction, I'll probably drive in silence because I need to recharge.
I get that. Yep, I can relate.
Yeah, but if I've got to go home and do some housework or something, I'll probably put some music on to energize myself on the drive home. But yeah, so I purposely live a distance from between work and home. So I've got that decompression time.
Fantastic. And are there any other strategies that you use that you can share with people to develop their own self-awareness and that sense of ownership of, because everybody's got a choice, right? That they can either choose to let those situations stress them out and make them, and they're genuinely stressful situations, that they've got a choice to how they handle that, how they react that, how they want to live their lives. Yes. And it sounds like you've done a lot of work around living purposefully and intentionally, which I've actually had this a couple of podcasts today, and all my guests have mentioned the word intentional or purposeful. And it's something that I've never really been. And I think that I don't know what that is in me. Things just happen for me, but I'm getting better at it. But yourself and another guest in particular really strike me as having great intention about how you want to live your lives and run your businesses.
It sounds like my car is my therapy, but when I
Cheaper, although not at the moment.
no, not at the moment. I might just sit in a stationary car.
Yeah.
But when I get home, I always take a few minutes, and it's something that I've noticed my stepson does as well, is sit in the car. Sometimes it'll be 10 minutes, and it's just that extra step of decompression, whether it be, okay, processing what happened today and have I felt that I've dealt with it enough in order to walk in the door at home? Because you don't want to bring it home with you. You don't want that hanging over you, because, and this is why I struggle to work from home, because we were locked up in Victoria so much over COVID. Not that I want to talk about it. For me, working from home feels like I'm stuck in COVID again. So I
Post-traumatic.
don't, yeah, it is. So what was my safe space became my only space during that time. So it's really important for me to get out and do different things and see different people and come to the office. So I'm probably the worst work from home person there is, but I also recognize when I need it. But I do enjoy that interfacing with my team and things like that. But yeah, walking in at home, I think you need to check yourself and check whether you're ready to be the person that your family wants to see when you walk in that door. Whether you've got kids, whether you've got pets, whether you've got a partner, or whether you're coming home to yourself. You want your home to be a safe space. So don't let the daily stresses interfere with that. And saying that, if you do work from home and you've had a moment, go for a walk, I think, at the end of the day, and just go, okay, I've stopped work, I've stepped away, I've gone for a walk to shed the day, and now I'm coming back home.
Yeah, great advice. I love that. I need to take that advice actually, because I work from home now. So after having an
There you
office for
go.
many years. So, Amy, could you share with our audience a podcast, a book, a resource, or some wisdom that you think will help many property managers, the industry very well, that will help property managers right now?
Having a mentor in the industry is so important at the moment. I think you need to have someone with similar values, similar ideals. Doesn't necessarily have to be the same experience level as you, but someone who you trust and respect in the industry, who can identify when to get in the pit with you, when to go, yep, it really sucks, or whether they identify that you actually need an uplift and go, it's not that bad, let's keep soldiering on. So having a mentor or someone and I would suggest that it be someone not in your office, because then it doesn't hang over for the next couple of days and things like that. So for me, networking, and I've got such a beautiful network of people in the industry that I've evolved over time. I'm so thankful, because I don't think I could do anything that I do without them. And I know who to pick when I need what. So yeah, for me, it's having those trusted mentors and advisors in the space.
That's fantastic. The other guest I had on said exactly the same thing as you. You're very aligned with her. So
There you
I
go.
love it. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Amy, how can anyone get in touch with you? Maybe somebody is looking for a mentor. How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, definitely. So through LinkedIn, social media, whatever means, I'm also part of the REIV, so you can reach out to me that way. There's plenty of channels that I'm available in, but my phone is always on, email box is always open for anyone that even just wants to, yeah, just shoot the breeze and just go, what are we doing?
Help me, Amy.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've all been there. And I think it's really important. And it's something that I've identified as a leader, to have a safe space for people, whether it be to make mistakes, whether it to be vulnerable, whatever it is. Being a safe space for people is so important.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And you do a wonderful job at it too.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me, Amy. I really appreciate your time. Get out of here, go home, enjoy that music or the silence, whatever you choose this afternoon. Hopefully, this hasn't taken too much of your social battery.
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you so much for having me.
Can I ask you a quick favour before you leave this episode? Now, we all know how important reviews are for businesses these days, and mine is no different. If you could spare just a minute to follow, rate and review this podcast, it would mean a lot to me. In fact, what would get me super excited is if you share this podcast with someone in the industry who you think might need to hear some of the episodes right now. And if you'd like to find out more about working with me or any of the products I have to help you start, grow or scale your property management business, head to my website, thatpropertymum.com.au, or check out the links in the show notes.